Lesson 2, Grade 7 Old English. Textbook, page 12. The King's Nightingale. Once upon a time there was a king who lived near a forest. One night, while he was sitting by a window, reading a book, he heard a nightingale singing in the forest. The bird's voice was very sweet, and it sang beautifully for half an hour. "What kind of bird is that?" said the king. "It has a very sweet voice, and it sings very beautifully." "I must have this bird," he said to his men. "Hey, 对比." "What kind of bird is that?" said the king. "It has a very sweet voice, and it sings very beautifully." "I must have this bird," he said to his men. And so the king's men went into the forest and looked for the nightingale. They looked for it everywhere, in the trees, under the trees, and in the bushes. At last they found it. It was in a tree, near a stream. "Please, little bird, will you come with us?" they asked the nightingale. "Our king wants you," the men said. "Oh, I don't want to go with you," answered the bird. "I am happy here, and I want to stay here in this forest." "Please, nightingale, please come," said the men. "Our king will be very happy. He wants you very much. He likes your singing." And so the little bird went along with the king's men, and the king was very happy. The king gave the little bird a beautiful cage made of gold. The nightingale lived in the cage and sang for the king every day. It was not happy, but it stayed with the king for many years. One day the king received a present from the king of another country. It was a toy nightingale. It was not real. It had many jewels all over it. It also had a little key. The key was to wind up the toy to make it sing. The king was now very pleased, because he had two nightingales. One was the real bird, and the other was a toy bird. Every day the king wound up the toy bird by turning the little key, and the little toy nightingale sang. The real nightingale, too, sang every day for the king. One day, after many months, the real nightingale flew out of the cage, through the window, and into the forest. The little toy bird also stopped singing, because something inside it broke. The king was now very, very sad. He became ill and lay in his bed with his eyes closed. The king's doctors came, but they could not make him better. After 2 weeks, the doctors came again. They looked at the king and they said, "The king is dead," and they went away sadly. The king's men stayed near the king, watching him. Suddenly the king opened his eyes. "I hear the song," he said, "a very sweet song, and the voice is beautiful." The king's men listened too, and they too heard the song. "My little friend has come back," said the king with joy. Yes, the little nightingale had come back. It was in a tree just outside the king's window. It sang all night. It sang beautifully. In the morning the king was well again. The king was very happy. His men and his doctors were happy too. Exercise. Vocabulary. Give from the story a word which means the same as each of the following. The first letters of all 5 words are given to help you. You must give the other letters. 1 letter for 1 blank. Got. Received. RECEIVED. R-E-C-E-I-V-E-D. Received. Small box for a bird to live in. Cage. C-A-G-E. Cage. Happy. Pleased. P-L-E-A-S-E-D. Pleased. Small. Little. L-I-T-T-L-E. Little. Unhappy. U-N. Sad. S-A-D. Sad. Read carefully first, then write out the sentences below, filling each blank with the right word from the 5 that you have given for A. When I got 100 marks in arithmetic, I was very pleased. P-L-E-A-S-E-D. Pleased. Yesterday, I got a present from my friend. And I received a present from my friend. R-E-C-E-I-V-E-D. Received. I am going to the market to buy a blank from my bird. I am going to the market to buy a cage for my bird. C-A-G-E. Cage. Mian Mian is blank because she has lost her ring. Mian Mian is sad because she had lost her ring. S-A-D. Instead of a small bird, we can say a blank bird. Instead of saying a small bird, we can say a little bird. Number B, comprehension. Answer the following questions in the story. Write your answers in your exercise book in one word or one phrase. The first one is done for you as an example. Who looked for the nightingale in the forest? Answer the king's men. Who said, "The king is dead"? The king's doctors. Who wanted the nightingale? The answer is the king. Who received a toy nightingale as a present? Answer, the king. Who gave the present? The king of another country. Who lived in a cage made of gold? The nightingale. Who said, "Oh, I don't want to go with you"? Answer, the nightingale. Who brought the real nightingale to the king? Answer, the king's men. Who was sad when the king flew away? Answer, the king. Answer the following questions in full sentences. Who gave the king a toy nightingale? The king of another country gave the king a toy nightingale. Why did the toy nightingale stop singing? The toy nightingale stopped singing because something inside it broke. Who made the king well again? The real nightingale made the king well again. How did the nightingale sing? The nightingale sang beautifully. When did the king heard the nightingale sing for the first time? What was he doing? When the king heard the nightingale for the first time, he was sitting by a window reading a book. Why did the king want the nightingale very much? The king wanted the nightingale very much because the bird had a sweet voice and sang beautifully. What kind of voice did the nightingale have? The nightingale had a sweet voice. What did the king do to make the toy nightingale sing? To make the toy nightingale sing, the king wound up the toy by turning the little key. Who were happy when the king became well again? The king, his men, and his doctors were happy when the king became well again. Each paragraph gives the following points. Write your answers like the first paragraph, the second paragraph, etc. accordingly. Example: the king wanted the nightingale. Answer: the second paragraph. The king fell ill. Answer: the ninth paragraph. The toy bird stopped singing. Answer: the ninth paragraph. The king's men found the nightingale. Answer: the third paragraph. The king got a present. Answer: the eighth paragraph. The king became ill. Answer: the ninth paragraph. The nightingale came back. Answer: the 10th paragraph. The king's doctors were very sad. Answer: the ninth paragraph. The nightingale got a cage made of gold. Answer: the 7th paragraph. The nightingale was not happy. Answer: the 7th paragraph. Extended language use. Give the ly form of each word below. The first one is done for you as an example. Sweet, sweetly. Beautiful, beautifully. Sad, sadly. Happy, happily. Slow, slowly. Quick, quickly. Write out the sentences below using the correct form of the words given in brackets. A nightingale has a very sweet voice, and it sings beautifully. An airplane can travel much more quickly than a car or a train. The bird sang sweetly, and the king listened happily. Don't walk slowly. Walk quickly. The king is dead, said his doctors, sadly. Rewrite each sentence below using for plus the words given in the brackets. The first one is done for you as an example. Those boys play football every afternoon, 2 hours. Those boys play football every afternoon for 2 hours. I study every morning, 2 hours. I study every morning for 2 hours. The bird sang for the king many months. The bird sang for the king for many months. Coco worked in that library 2 years. Coco worked in that library for 2 years. We have been waiting for the bus 45 minutes. We have been waiting for the bus for 45 minutes. They lived in Gala 8 months. They lived in a Gala for 8 months. Punctuate the following. The birds capital T, birds, apostrophe. The bird's voice is very sweet, comma. Our king, capital O, will be very happy, said the men. So, hyphen right here, comma, question, full stop. The king is dead, said the king's doctors sadly. Full stop right here. Here, capital T, exclamation mark. That. Oh, I don't want to go with you, answered the bird. Full stop. Comma. That. And capital O. I hear a song, said the king. So, full stop right here. But that. I, capital I, hear a song, comma, said the king. Copy the following paragraph using the correct form of the verbs given in brackets. Once upon a time, there was a big lion. He lived in a forest. He was the biggest and strongest animal in that forest. All the other animals were afraid of him. One day, the lion said, I am the king of this forest. All of you must listen to me. And all the animals answered, Yes, King Lion, you are our king, and we will listen to you. The big lion was very pleased. He stood on a big rock and made a very loud roar. Learn all the new words and phrases in the lesson. Your teacher, I, will give you spelling exercises. Number 1. Spell kinds. K-I-N-D-S. Kinds. Spell received. R-E-C-E-I-V-E-D. Received. Spell stream. S-T-R-E-A-M. Stream. Jewels. J-E-W-E-L-S. Jewels. Spell sweets. S-W-E-E-T. Sweets. Spell beauty. B-E-A-U-T-Y. Beauty. Now spell sadness. S-A-D-N-E-S-S. Sadness. Now spell golden. G-O-L-D-E-N. Golden. Now spell pleased. P-L-E-A-S-E-D. Pleased. Spell deadly. D-E-A-D-L-Y. Deadly. Now spell flew. F-L-E-W. Flew. Now spell wound. W-O-U-N-D. Wound. Now spell was lying. W-A-S-L-Y-I-N-G. Was lying. Spell watched. W-A-T-C-H-E-D. Watched. Spell sings. S-I-N-G-S. Sings. This is the end of lesson 2. I hope you enjoy learning English with me.